please note that this content is for adults only. Viewer discretion advised. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe, like, and share. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another live stream with me, Grizzly K. This is Grizzly True Crime, and today we're going to be joined by a very special guest who some of you might know already. There's quite a few new people here since Sunny was last on with us, but Sunny is a litigation consultant, a crimes against person expert, a federal law enforcement SME, a crime media commentator. You may have seen her on Law and Crime Network, on Court TV, often on Court TV with Julie Grant. She's also a TEDx talk speaker. You can go and type in Sunny Slaughter into YouTube search bar and you'll find her TEDx talk as well. And she's also a CEO. And I'm always so honored to have her here with us. She's got so much expertise. She's definitely a mama bear. She knows how to snark it up, and we just love her over here. And she also tells me when I need to go to bed because sometimes she knows I'm up very late. She can see on X. So welcome, everyone. Welcome to all my moderators. Thank you so much for everything you do. Welcome to all my patrons, members, subscribers, any locals in chat, and of course, any family and friends of Madeline Soto. So what we're going to do today is we're going to be reacting to just a couple of clips, of Jenn Soto's police interviews. We'll eventually break down everything. I know there's so much to still work through. But today, I really want Sunny's opinions and wisdom and expertise, particularly around the topic of grooming. So we're going to talk about that. So let me bring Sunny up. Welcome, Sunny.
Hi, how are you, my friend? It's so good to see you. Hi, Grizzlies.
Good to see they're so excited. They always love having Sunny on.
I love you, and I love the Grizzlies, and thank you for having me, and particularly on this very important topic of grooming and the Madeline Soto case, which is very disturbing, alarming, and I hope that I'll be able to add some more context to all of the amazing content that you design, deliver, and because I just have to say that you are one of the premier experts in putting together documentary forms, commentary and media on the critical cases that we cover here in the United States of America. And I thank you for your work, for your dedication, for your commitment to the cases that we cover that impact us. And I know you are in your beautiful country and place where you are, but I really do want to say thank you from all of us here in America and across the world for everything that you do every single day.
Thank you so much. Don't make me cry at the beginning of the show. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. My goodness, especially coming from you. I'm always so honored to speak to you, to have you on the show. You're my shiro.
It's my honor, my privilege and honor to be with you because you are my shiro. You taught me remember, how to do some of these things that I am doing now with the media and all of this. She's the teacher. She's the expert on that and how you do it.
Thank you so much. So would you mind, I know I've given everyone just bullet points of your credentials, but I know that you train law enforcement countrywide, and you've got a lot of experience in this field, especially that we're talking about today. So can you just give the Grizzlies, especially there's lots that might not know you, just a little brief background about who you are and what you do?
So yes, thank you so much for all of the other information let me provide some more nuanced context. I am a crimes against person subject matter expert, and my unique expertise lies in human trafficking and exploitation. And that is both professionally and personally, because in 2003, I found out that I was married to a predator, not someone that was out while he was married to me, grooming others, or at least we didn't find that particular information, but that he molested my own daughter, who was 7 at the time. She is now an adult. So I have I have taken everything that I have learned from my own experience and my law enforcement background and kind of put things together when it comes to that lens. This case involving Madeline Soto is taking place in Florida, and I happen to be a Florida Department of Law Enforcement instructor as well. I've done some training overseas, Trinidad and Tobago, and all of the surrounding countries around child exploitation and trauma experiences. And I look forward, thank you, Sheila, to kind of answering what Gisela has to say, you know, the questions that you have, and also chiming in. I hope this will be informative. And I know with the work that you are always putting out, things are informative about, and I'll use language and then people can kind of come back and later and look at this, and I'll share this, your live stream and your information out for this particular one, as I have done with others, so people can understand broadly what we are talking about and the importance of it today.
Yes, and I'm so sorry that your daughter experienced that and that you also as a mom had to go through that experience too. And thank you so much for sharing that with us and being here to share your expertise.
And let me say that is also unique. When we hear about these stories, when we get the perspective, we're often hearing from, if they survive, a survivor story from someone who was a child that is now an adult. You rarely hear the stories told from the lens of the other parent. And I have other children, so how that impacted us. I came up with terminology that says victim, direct victims, that was my daughter, and we were the indirect victims because all of my daughter was 7 and the other children were younger than her. So we had direct victim, indirect victim, and then the collateral damage impact for the community that we were very involved in. My ex-husband was very well liked, very well known. I was very well known. So we were not closed in. And I know some people might say, oh my God, well, how could this happen? And as we go through this, I'll talk about some of that, what I and others missed because we had so many people in our lives, and the guilt that I carried for decades. And I do mean for decades. It's not that I don't have any guilt at all, but I know that I was the kind of parent that I should have been, but predators are very, very skillful. But I don't think that's in this particular case. And I do give parents, fathers and mothers who are on the outside, the benefit of doubt. That's why the law enforcement says you need to listen to the evidence and facts. And what I'm seeing in this case doesn't say Madeline's mother, Jenn, she was no Sonny Slaughter.
I was just going to ask. So, based on your experience, I mean, I always try to give Jenn Soto the benefit of the doubt. And every time I hear yet another police interview or read another document and just see how she's reacting, I'm very upset. I find myself feeling enraged all over again and really devastated for Madeline Soto because it doesn't seem like the usual response, even though everyone can respond differently. This is very far off from that, right? So, how do you feel about that?
I absolutely agree. You know, when I was initially confronted with my own story, I was outwardly calm and everything within me raged. But I had to listen and hear. When I look at Jenn's, she does not, it's not that she's outwardly raged. It's not even that she's not crying. Her answers are not, they're unconscionable almost, what she is saying. She doesn't make sense. It's like she is so far removed, and she is really a selfish, external and internal, selfish mother. She has exhibited, I'll say this, has not exhibited protective instincts as a parent, as a mother, as a woman who understands the gravity of loss, not for her, but for her daughter's experiences. And the fact that as when I was the parent, the things that I played in my head, I had a reel that would run about what I didn't know. That was dangerous for me. It was
Yes.
dangerous for him, which is why it was good that he was incarcerated the day after, very quickly, because it is unimaginable. And I will tell you this, and I'm very straightforward about my case. I have no problems talking about it. I have even no problems people saying, well, you had to know. Yeah, well, you don't know me. But I still have not listened to my daughter's interview with law enforcement, and I have it. I actually have it here. I have all of my records, and I have not listened to it because I do not think that I would be sane in the
Yeah.
same way. And see, when my daughter was so little, I don't get that from Jenn. You know what I'm saying? I don't get that. She's not keeping her composure to fight for her daughter. It's like she's keeping her composure to make herself look less guilty.
Yes. That's what so many of us have noticed as well. And I mean, would you have called your ex-husband's dad and said, "Hey, you need to get him a lawyer now," based on the accusation? Jen Soto called Stephan Sterns' father and said, "You need to get him a lawyer now," after hearing what Stephan had done to her daughter.
And I saw one of your one of the comments that said, she has mental health issues. Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
we lost you.
Did the
We
mental
lost you for
health
a
issues
second.
start before or after? I'm looking at the condition of the house. I'm looking at, oh, I'm sorry. Do you have me?
Oh no, you just froze for a second, but we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. So, and I understand trauma in very unique ways. I've worked with victims of human trafficking, domestic violence, sexual violence. I understand. I have been one of the experts for the largest behavioral health and mental health facility in the United States, Universal Health Services. So I understand how people might respond, just like my lack of falling apart also came across to, okay, I might be guilty. I understand all of those nuances and how she responds, but we don't know whether she has a mental health diagnosis. We like to throw that out quickly around folks because that is now the go-to with the mental health, that everybody has one. Well, if everyone that experiences trauma or lives today doesn't have a mental health we could all say we are victims of mental health, but
Yeah.
being diagnosis and disease and then confirmed diagnosis and disease is different than just having trauma experiences that allow you not to respond in a way about your own child. That means I had trauma too prior to I was a victim of a rape as a young girl, but that had nothing to do with how I responded about the child that I gave birth to and the things that I needed to absolutely know. Now, did I think that I absolutely wanted him to have the best possible defense? Because I needed to know, I needed answers.
Mm-hmm.
I needed answers, not to protect him, but to understand what happened, what I missed, and what else would happen with my children and anyone else. Because see, we had a lot of contact with other children. He did martial arts and everything. But when we think about this particular case and Stephan Sterns, if we say, can we say that he had some kind of mental health issue too? Because, they did try to say that about my ex-husband, that, he had this. So we're always throwing in the person's mental health, but
Mm-hmm.
then we eliminate that when it comes to the perpetrator. So there are victims, victim perpetrators, and perps. So a
Yeah.
person who is a perpetrator could have been a victim at one time. So are we going to say that their behaviors and actions are a part of their mental health diagnosis or disease and allow them not to be criminalized for that, or more accepting of their behavior because that's how the layers of our criminal justice system works, not just in our views and what we do in our work every day. If that makes sense to everyone.
That makes sense. Thank you, Tony. Tony says, hello, Sunny and Grizzly. It appears Jenn needed help with the most basic of tasks, as if she needed someone to take over her life so she could concentrate on herself. She found what she was looking for, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the grooming. What is it? What is grooming, and what are any signs of it? Can you tell us?
With everything that I said about mental health, let me say this when it comes to the grooming part and what I see in Jenn from a law enforcement and public health lens about her. Jenn was probably the victim of something at some point in time. She did not seem well balanced when it came to the fullness of her life, caring for being a single parent, caring for a child can be difficult, but then she intentionally chose to couple herself with a man who did nothing. He was useless in her life. And yet, so give her the title of caretaker when it comes to the male side of her proclivities, and give her the term of uninterested mother when it came to actually taking care of the vulnerable person that needed her the most, her own daughter. So she wanted to care for him and his needs, but neglected the needs of her own child. So he, as a targeter, okay, a groomer, a pedophile, okay, because these are all of the terms that would go to his behavior. Groomer, pedophile, somebody who targets. So in order for him to get access to Madeline, he first had to get access to the mother. Mm-hmm. And remember, I told you in some point of my life, I had trauma too. I don't have a mental health diagnosis, except I might be crazy with some of these stories. But when you think about how groomers target single mothers, they target those who are financially in need. At the time that I connected with Charles, I had just lost my mother. My daughter was very, very, she's not his biological child. She's the one that's not his biological child. She was less than 2 years old. And I was pregnant. Okay. The loss of my mother had me move from one location to another. And then I had what they call hyperemesis gravidarum with my pregnancy. So I was constantly in and out of the hospital visit. So I had all of those things intersecting at once. Mental health issues, definitely with the loss of my mother, who died 2 days after her 49th birthday. So when you look at Jenn, what were her issues that allowed her to be this type of person that would allow a groomer, a predator? And predators seek out people that have gaps and holes in their lives. They are vulnerable. They are, even if they don't, the vulnerability is not so profound, like they're seeking something. A predator knows what they see, and they can pick up on the nuances of those. So this is what we have. He found Jenn, the living conditions in which they were. Madeline didn't have her own room. She was very young. He was a narcissistic, and everything. Yes. She was only playing long game. What could she do? How she could have a man in her life? How she could, kind of allow him in there. And they are very opportunistic. They find ways, no matter how good you are, they will find a way in. Now, this doesn't just happen with groomers who are looking for children. This happens with groomers who are looking for vulnerable people any kind of way. And so they get close. In this particular case, let me focus on this. Stephan saw Jenn, saw her vulnerabilities. Then he played upon those. They had very limited sexual activity that grew over time. He could do whatever he wanted. He knew that he could. He saw in Madeline, some predators have a predilection for particular age children. Okay, so they start out with very young children, and that's how they can groom them very young because they're not talkative. They get that bond, that relationship, everything looks well. And he didn't have anything but time, access, and opportunity. And that's what
Yes.
she gave him. And, that relationship all over again. So while she was thinking that he was loving her, he was secretly eyeing all of the things that he could do to her daughter. And I'm sure he didn't start out with penetration. He started out small. He started out touching her in ways that are very manipulative, that seemed good. She didn't have her father there with her. So he was the new daddy. He could play that. Jenn didn't have to rush home. She allowed him to sleep in the bed with them, uh, as in the middle, as we kind of talked about. So he played upon her worst insecurities as a woman and as a mother, and Maddie's worst fears, because Maddie did not know initially what was going on, whether this is normal. And Jenn's behavior and not addressing it normalized it, even if she
Yes.
said she didn't know. So groomers work on normalizing the behavior of the person that can interfere with what they are trying to do. They normalize it by playing the good person, the person who is welcoming, the person who is there, the person who can benefit from, you can benefit from time and attention and intimacy. And don't worry, I will, kind of, I'll take care of things while you're at work. I'll go pick her up. I'll take her to school. All of those things made it seem normal. This is a normal relationship. So yeah, we're going to stay up late and watch a movie. And I'll tell you how that burned me and
Yeah.
how this played a role in my own case really quickly. My daughter, the last time anything happened to my daughter was Super Bowl Sunday, 2003, January 26th. Okay, I can get down to the dates. And the game was on. I was downstairs washing clothes. We had literally had a guest at our house, and then she left. The game was wrapping up. He went to take the kids, because we had 4 kids. My youngest was an arm baby. He went to take them up, and I was downstairs folding up the clothes, putting everything away from the celebration and all of that, and had no clue that he was upstairs trying to do something to my daughter again. It was the next day that she told. So, that whole let's go upstairs, we can watch TV. Well, our rooms were all in our room and then the kids' rooms. My daughter, who was the oldest, had her own room. And the other two, the 2 girls, they had their room. And then the baby boy, he had his own room. So you see how that happens? We're going to go up and watch TV. It's always that damn TV. Okay. That's
Ah, man.
the thing right there, watching TV. So that was his MO. Come on, let's go do this. Madeline was like, well, yeah, Mom, I want to go. She was 13 years old.
Yes.
She was 13. What could a grown man see in a 13-year-old pre-pubescent body? Because she had just turned 13.
Yes.
What kind of attraction, except for he had a predilection and he was predisposed to children younger than her. And the question begs to ask, who else had he done
Yes. Who
it to?
else? Yes. It can't be the only one, right? People like this, the profile of someone like this, it's highly likely that there's other victims.
Yes. And we found out that with my own story, like later. And I'm thinking, and his family knew. And I said, well, I didn't like them too much anyway, but all of you knew. Yes. What could a grown man see in an 8-year-old? What could they see in a 10-year-old? What is the turn on, except for they are filthy pieces of garbage
Yes.
who need to be, let me just say that and end that there, because I
Need
want
to
to.
be prosecuted.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the word. Yeah, let me say that part.
It's devastating and enraging, and still we don't see that from Jenn Soto. So we are
Yeah.
going to look at some clips or listen to some clips,
Okay.
guys. So
I'm
just stick
sorry.
around for that. No, no, we are really, it's very important to discuss all of this. And
Mhm.
everyone is enjoying it and your insight and everyone. I'm so sorry, guys, that I can't put all your comments on the screen, but they are supporting you. So
Oh,
please leave some comments as well for Sunny afterwards so she can read that as well.
oh, yeah, thank you. Yes, of course. Yes, yes,
Yes,
Allie,
Ellie.
Allie,
Yeah.
100%. 100%.
That is, yeah, one has to wonder what would have happened had she told someone. Of course, the victim never tells out of fear. And these predators, these groomers, pedos, YouTube doesn't like that word too much, but never mind. I mean, they would usually say that you can't tell anyone because they're not going to believe you. And it's
And
our
it
little secret. And if you do, I'll go to jail.
and it's like, and it's normal. And when your mother doesn't say anything, and the one thing what is the groomer saying to the victim? The groomer is saying, well, your mom told you to come upstairs. Jenn said, your mom told you to come upstairs. It's okay. We've been like this before. We slept like this before. She already knows. And so why would the child ask? He's the trusted person. So he says, oh, yeah, your mom already knows what we're doing. And I'm teaching you how to grow up. And it's okay because I love you. And your
Mhm.
mom knows how much I love you. And your mom is tired. So when your mom is tired, I'll be the one to comfort you. I'm listening to what's going on. And we sleep in the bed all the time. And when we're together, this is a good touch. This
Mhm.
and when you make me feel good, I love you so much. And this makes me feel good. So the gratification and those words being said to him and her wanting to be a pleaser, that is gratification. So whether it's sexual gratification, emotional gratification for the groomer, then that is a turn on. And then since the mom is not saying, oh, that's not, you're not going, no, like
Mhm.
you're going to watch TV downstairs. No. So you know what I'm saying? Those are things that they
Exactly.
say and do. But let's watch the clips before I go off on a complete tangent.
One more thing before the clips is that he also apparently, based on the document, said to her, "Well, if you want to play with your phone, first you're gonna perform this on me, and then you can, just for 3 seconds, just quickly, and then I'll give you your phone back." Like he also did that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's just terrible. Oh my
Satisfy
goodness.
me and I will give you the desires of your heart, just like I do your mommy.
Yeah, and isn't it amazing how they're always the person that's there for comfort? That they say, when you're having a bad day, I'm the one that's there for you. My
Mhm.
goodness.
And I'm gonna take you to school and yeah.
Yes, Maddie was unsafe.
Yes, yes, yes. She was. She really was. Yeah. I don't just think that she was well, but I
Yeah,
also don't think that she's not culpable either. I think she
yeah,
is
yeah,
culpable based on her
yeah.
behavior. I think
It's
she
not
is, yeah, it's not
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not one or the other. It can be both at the same time,
Yeah,
right?
and Helen is saying Maddie may not have had the best relationship with Jenn, and that is true. So the complications, particularly, you and I talked about between her biological father and her mother, what was going on there, what happened to, disrupt that relationship, and how does she feel about it? And girls, want to have a dad, and no one did teach her how to stand up for
Yeah.
herself. Gaining a voice is not something that young children do easily and we know this because we as adults don't do it easily and often.
Hmm.
We're often
Yes.
silenced. So imagine when our young children have no voice at all.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, Jen does seem to struggle with boundary setting, but that's why it's so important if you are a parent to work on that yourself and teach your children how to set boundaries because can like these predators, they love it if you have no boundaries. That's
And
exactly where they infiltrate.
Erica V says Jen is 100 responsible along with Sunny Slaughter. That you can take that as your opinion, but ask my daughter. Well, no, I wouldn't want you to ask my daughter anything. And people can feel that way, but trust and believe. I speak often and to this day to the prosecutor. So if you would like to call the prosecutor on her case, she is now the number 2 in the Mercer County Prosecutor's Office. Her name is Jennifer. And ask her about the Sonny Slaughter case. And she'll tell you, when I say I gave them hell, I gave him hell. And he spent all of those years in prison, and he was out for less than a year before he died.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes.
I was going to say, is he still, couldn't remember. Is he still in or okay, he's passed away?
Deceased. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry about that comment. I don't like it when people attacking
No,
you in
look,
chat. Be nice to the guests, please.
I think people have the right to their opinion when they're uninformed, ill-informed, and probably victims of something themselves. And,
yes.
And everyone has the right to believe that. They really do. And she may have been the victim and she thinks that she knows, but she doesn't know my case, and she is not the expert, and I am. And did I miss something? I absolutely did. All those years ago, before I was doing I absolutely did miss it. I absolutely carried the guilt from. I have no problem saying that. But I also knew my daughter was a very young girl. There was no sleeping in the bed with him and all, but he was a groomer. So if Erica B has come across a groomer, maybe she knows someone, maybe she had this experience, and she has the right to feel, her and everyone else legitimately have the right to feel how they want to feel about my story and everyone else's story.
She says, no, Stephan Sterns, not you.
Oh, okay, Erica. And I'm sorry, Erica, but but your comment made me think about that people did blame me. There are people who would blame me. I'm sorry, Erica B. Don't anybody say anything smart to her. But I am saying what I just said. I meant everything that I said, not targeting Erica B. But do not think that I have not heard that about my own self too, my own story. And that is legitimate. For people to question how it is that I didn't know, that is a legitimate question to ask, just like we're asking of Jenn. The response and everything is what makes a difference. So I am telling you, don't you ever not say, well, I don't know. How could you not know? And the truth is, because sometimes you really don't know. And when I tell you, I grew up in Trenton, New Jersey, and I have been a fighter my entire, like a real scrapper in the street kind of fighter. And I come from a very interesting family, but I didn't know. My daughter didn't tell me. She went to school and told, and it was safer, I'll say this, for her to tell at school than to tell me at home, because I would not be here with you all now. I would still be in a situation, and that is honesty. But the guilt that I had for missing it almost took me out, except for the fact that I had to take care of my children. I couldn't leave it to, my mother was gone. I couldn't leave it to my dad, my siblings. I was their mother. And I carried that for so long with me.
Yeah.
And the rage that I feel now when I'm on TV and talking about it, I do have to contain that, because I'm just like, how could I miss it? My daughter's 29 years old. I don't want you all to think that, but the years of therapy, not just my daughter had to go through, all of my children had to go through. And when I tell you we've had some rough times, we've had some rough times, but let's run this other stuff. And Erica B, I apologize. Oh, your husband from Trenton, girl. We probably know each other. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's get to the rolling this, because we've been on.
We're gonna now. Thank you, Dishaloo, and thank you, Elaine. You said, is it possible Maddie wanted to sleep with someone in hopes that they would protect her, maybe keep Stephan Sterns at bay? Just a thought. He brought nothing to the table.
Oh, that's a hot. Wow. Well, Okay, so if you are a single woman and a single man, okay, because this can happen to men too, where they bring in a woman who is a groomer, because women do this too. I know we don't talk about this. Women are groomers, but you want to think, you don't start out the relation. I'm going to hold that comment until you play something. I was ready to say something, and I want to hold what I was. Let me stop talking, because I know that you have something coming up, and I want to hold that, what I was going to say, for
it might be included in the reaction. So what we're going to do, guys, I've got to about, just less than 10 minutes worth of clips that I'm going to play now for Sunny, and I would love her thoughts on it. So we're going to play it when we see the screen fade. Okay, then we pause, and then I would love to hear what Sunny thinks about this. So let me pull it up quickly. Here we go.
She's kind of got a bedroom in the living room. If you go, if you go into the apartment, you'll see there's like one of those fake walls, separating half the bedroom. She's got like a desk with a bedroom and a TV and a dresser. But she'll hang out there during the day, but she never sleeps there. She always sleeps with me, and then the rare occasion upstairs. But most of the time it's with me.
Okay. Did you see her on Monday morning?
Visually see her? No.
Did you hear her?
I heard many people in the kitchen. I'm not sure if it was my roommate or her specifically.
There's the fade. Okay, I hope it stays like this if I remove it from the stage. Should. Okay, so what do you think of that, of Maddie having this makeshift bedroom in the living area and saying that she mostly slept with me, but sometimes upstairs?
Yeah, I did not like that at all. That never made any sense to me. You showed me the visual of the room, and Mom said she has that makeshift, but she never sleeps there. So when her and Stephan were sleeping together, Jenn, and where was Maddie?
That is a scary thought. You guys, I don't think we've addressed that. Think about what Sunny's saying. Like if Jenn is dating Stephan, and they're together in the room, and Maddie's sleeping in that makeshift room, that's so close, around the corner. It's so strange.
Or is Maddie in the bed with them, which is even more gross, no matter what age he is. Okay.
Yes.
And Jenn is saying, well, it is she she would sleep upstairs. I'm so confused by the king size bed that you showed me downstairs, and because she didn't want to, she wanted to sleep well. Okay, have you ever slept on a king size bed? Now, I have.
Yes.
and little kids, they can really they can get you when you're sleeping. But can you imagine telling your young daughter to go sleep upstairs with a man that's not even her father, or a real stepfather, or any kind of parent to her, and he's not having sex with you or anything like that, and you say go upstairs? Well, why couldn't she sleep on the makeshift bed? Why couldn't she sleep on the king size bed? No way she's going to sleep all the way and get on to you and disrupt your sleep. That was what Maddie heard regularly. And that is what I was getting at, where she was normalized with go upstairs and sleep with him, go to bed with him, go in that dark. So that is why Madeline probably didn't say anything. She didn't think it was wrong, because her mother was either intentionally or unintentionally a part of the grooming process that normalized this type of behavior with a man that she was not even sleeping with at all. I just do not buy the fact that she didn't know anything. Like that,
right?
And I'm saying that, and you'll understand why I say that later. I just don't.
I mean, it was her ex-boyfriend as well. And Jenn said in some of the police interviews that, Maddie caught on that they were no longer dating. Okay, so now he's there right after her 13th birthday party. And Jen's like, okay, you two upstairs. That is it's the most, I just go ice cold when I think of that. It's so scary. If you put yourself in Maddie's shoes for a second in that scenario, it's terrifying.
It would be like you have two adult women, because Maddie is a child. What makes sense to us? Two adult women and my husband, and me saying to one of my girlfriends, look, I'm tired. I don't want to be bothered. Why don't you just go upstairs and sleep in the bed with my husband? What the absolute? Okay. Okay.
Right. What the absolute? Exactly.
What the absolute? No. That's not logical. It's not sensical. It's nonsensical. That is, I don't care what kind of mental health she had. She knew that was nasty.
Yeah, and B2, she said it was a selfish move because I wanted to sleep. I think we might actually hear that in some of the clips now. But she's like, oh yeah, no, it was a selfish move because I just wanted good rest. Yes, very selfish.
My daughter, my kids sleep in the bed with me and my daughter when she comes home now. I have a queen size bed. I swear, my youngest daughter is 23. I'm like, oh my goodness. But do I tell her, would I tell her to go and sleep in the bed with a boyfriend that I might have? Oh, not in this life. If he wants to live, he would. A real man would say, absolutely not. I'm not sleeping in the bed with your 12, 13-year-old daughter without you. With that, it's just.
Exactly. And he's just like, oh yes, this is great. That's obviously what he was there for. And Jen's like, okay, night. I need good sleep for 2 days off, eh? I thought oh, sorry.
No. Oh, look. Oh, okay. That was Karen. No, I'm sorry. I saw. Oh, Karen said my granddaughter sleeps with me in a king bed. She is a sleep chaser. Now I do use that in my daughter now. In the bed with my daughter, I put the pillows because I'm like, she's like so hot and she's always. I'm like, I'm like, put the pillows between us because you're like she'll grab me and I'm like, she's like, Mom, and I'm like, geez. I said, how long you staying?
Right.
How long you staying here?
So with Jenn Soto, she said she needed a good night's rest, but she had 2 days off afterwards. She needed rest for 2 days off from work and then sent Maddie upstairs with him. Isn't that crazy? That just adds to the layers. My goodness. I'm going to play some more over here.
I sent them upstairs and I went to bed.
Okay. And that was about 11.
Yeah.
And do you guys normally all sleep together? Because I know you said that she sleeps in your room with you typically, right?
She sleeps with me typically. Typically when he comes into town, because he lives with his parents in Northport, Florida. Mm-hmm. When he comes to town, he'll sleep in the guest bedroom.
Okay.
Oh, there's the fade. So when typically, when he comes into town, he sleeps in the guest bedroom. And then you send your daughter up there too, because awesome, babysitter, now I can have a good night's rest, is what it sounds like. Right? And even she slept in the middle. Maddie, she put a child in the middle between the two of them when they were in the same bed.
Yeah, and I don't understand that. Like, he's your boyfriend.
Yeah.
How is it that you are clocking to the child? And she's not like a tiny baby.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And how are you clocking to the, clicking with the man, and he's not all up on you?
Yeah.
Oh, her birthday. Oh,
Thunder Maiden, my Grizzly birthday is here. Thank you for being here. Happy birthday, Thunder Maiden. Thanks for being a member for 1 year.
Wow. All right.
That is amazing. Okay, evidence that has haunted me. We know now Jennifer Soto did not see Maddie that morning, yet with police interview that night, Jenn corrects Stephan Sterns firmly on what Maddie was wearing in the morning. Stephan says, are you sure? He's also like, what? And she's like, yes, black shorts.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
These questions will drive us nuts. They will keep us up at night. We've gone over a lot of these questions like that before. I'm just like, oh man, how could that be? There's so many. I wonder if Jenn Soto will ever get arrested.
You know, so they have 17,000 images that we know about, right? But there's still a large-scale investigation. Even while the trial is going on, you know, they will still be investigating because they need to talk to other women that he may have been connected to because they did that in my case, which was really important. And to determine if they saw anything, suspected anything, and you know, if they had any experiences. Now, they also need to talk Jenn says that Maddie didn't have any friends. So like if anybody came over to the house, like regularly, literally we did that in my case too. Okay. Where people had to be interviewed. I gave everybody's name that I could possibly think of, you know, like my cousins and other family. And then the horror that you feel thinking that what the horror that I felt, okay, I'm married to a predator. I have a lot of girls in my family, like my cousins and nieces and yeah. And I'm thinking, could he have possibly done anything to any of them? And I didn't know. Now, mind you, my husband, Charles, at the time, oh, Charles was beloved by everyone. When I tell you this man, we lived well. He treated us well. My family adored him. He was so well liked in the community. He was the armor bearer for the bishop. And one of his closest friends was the head of the forensic unit for the New Jersey State Police. We hung out with a very racially, culturally diverse crowd. We hung out with law enforcement. So, you know, there's a sting to that. And which is why I kept questioning, what did I miss? What did I miss? What did I miss? What did I miss? And I literally had to go back and ask people, did I miss something? I had to go back to every thought I could to say that, yeah, I was not a good mother forever in my head. My daughter, who is the oldest now, she's 29, like I said, she said, Mom, it wasn't you. It wasn't you. It was him. My kids, they, even to this day, and just so you'll know, I talk about our story with consent from my children. I don't allow people to, they don't talk about it, but they can if they want to, but they support me in talking about it always. Yeah. That's why I did the TED Talk and everything. So, you know, I think you have to be, hey, my big brother, you know, my sister and brother on here. Hey, Peter, you know, it's always important when you're telling, even though this is my story, when you're telling someone else's story, portions of their story, it's important to get permission. Yes. But I got permission from my kids when they were very little too. You know, we always, once you have something like this happen to you, then you don't keep any secrets about anything in the house. Yeah. So no secrets. So I wonder what Stephan is feeling and thinking right now.
Oh, man. Imagine.
I don't know.
I wish he would just not. Well, he's going to go on trial. I just can't believe he's still pleading after all that. Like, still pleading not guilty. He's, you know, still going to be there at the trial. Like, wow.
In all honesty, I would think that Jenn should be in therapy now. So whatever if she was not intentionally doing this, then she needs to be in therapy so she can be a good witness, and that her truth can set Maddie free and herself free someday. That she can tell the thing, like I am telling this story now, that she will be honest about her own failures. I don't think you can't close anything out in life until you are honest about your own failures. And I missed something. I don't know. I think I was, well, I loved him. I had our children. I had a lot of health things, but I absolutely dropped the ball because somehow I allowed a predator into our lives, and she was dependent on me, and I didn't protect her initially. Now, you know, he was really good. He was really good. And I also think it's important that when you understand a case like mine and who I am today and how I understand vulnerability, not just for others, but specifically for myself, that I do not see all of the other men that I dated after, and I didn't see them as predators. I did not immediately tag them as predators, but I also made sure they knew our story so they wouldn't lose their absolute mind and their life if they were. Okay. So I think it's really that you don't project everything that happened to you in the past into your future, because you won't have a solid future or ever get to where you can heal. And healing from these kinds of things it's not a program, but a process. And the only way that Jenn can reconcile her truth with the lies I think she is telling is to be honest with what she knew, what she did, what she ignored, what she allowed to happen, what she normalized, and that it caused and led to the death of her own child.
Wow, that's a lot. Yes. So someone is asking, what do you think of the Woody Allen comment? We're going to get to that. Wendy, we're getting to that as part of the clips that I'm still playing here.
Look, and I'm sorry, and that's why I held that other thing.
Oh, no rush at all. We've still got, so let me play the next one here quickly.
Y'all went to bed around 11, and the reason that you sent her upstairs with Stephan was because you had work in the morning, was it? Or you just started a new job?
I just started a new job and I haven't been sleeping well. I take psychiatric meds every night for my bipolar disorder, and if I don't take them the right way, eat, and go to sleep on time,
They don't work.
They don't work.
Gotcha.
So I was just like, hey, I really need these meds, because I forgot them the night before. I forgot them, I think, Saturday night. So Sunday I was not myself. So I asked them, like, hey, I need to be medicated. I need to sleep. Can you take care of the morning duties so I can go and sleep?
Gotcha. All right. No, I just wanted to make sure I understood you right, because I was like, did you have work in the morning? Or I didn't write that down, and I wanted to make sure.
So even that, take care of the morning duties. What about the evening duties? What about sleeping safely? Right?
So she's on medication. So she's bipolar. That's her diagnosed mental health, because she's on medication. Okay. Does that excuse her from sending her daughter upstairs to sleep with a man that, one, she was no longer in a relationship, two, that had some very whatever caused them to not be together in the relationship, she didn't see that as triggering. So he could just kind of like come in and out and kind of do what he wanted to do, and then sleep with her daughter in the same room. Those things are all alarming. So she was very passive in her behaviors and in her thoughts and in her processes, that she didn't want to be bothered because she couldn't sleep in a king size bed. If she was taking her medication, that would have helped her sleep, and that should not have interfered with her daughter. And if there was a bed downstairs, why didn't Maddie sleep in the bed, in the makeshift bed, and not upstairs with a man that she was not in a relationship with, that she should have been sleeping with anyway at 12 years old, going on 13?
Yes. And why was he even there? That's still one of my big questions. Why was he even there? They'd broken up. He moved in with his parents, and she had 2 days off afterwards, and said she wanted Maddie to be home and not with her grandparents, so that Jenn could see her more. But then you have the guy come over, your ex-boyfriend, for what? For the morning duties. Oh dear.
Yeah, and that morning duties comment is like, what? She was 13. You mean she couldn't get herself dressed and she couldn't get to
exactly.
And how did she function? How did Maddie function when he wasn't there? So this almost seems like an exploitation situation that went into a trafficking situation where she made her daughter available to the exploiter, to the trafficker, and who had groomed her. He had groomed her mother and he had groomed her. But the question still is, why did he kill her then? Something else happened.
Yeah, exactly. Many scenarios there, many plausible scenarios there, but why then? Especially when she said, when I turned 13 to her friends, I'm going to run away and go live in the woods. And her mom plays that down as well. But like, isn't that scary to think of your daughter running away to live in the woods? And she's like, no, it was just a World War III related conversation. Still sounds scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think she could have.
And she didn't have a good relationship with her mom. Clearly, Maddie had something going on with the mother, but it was probably because Maddie knew this was not right. She was being used and groomed, and she didn't know that language, but she knew how she felt.
Yes. And 13 is a big birthday, like, ooh, I'm turning 13 now. And apparently there was sex ed happening at school, so she was starting to get more educated on the topic. I think, shame. I mean,
and what was she thinking with her friends, wondering if their father was doing this or their mother's boyfriend? It's just
it's devastating. Okay, Gaynor says yes. Why now? What had changed? Yeah. I mean, did she say no more of this? I'm going to tell on you. Some people have speculated, what if she was pregnant? That could be a speculation, but it could really just be that she's like, no, and I have a crush on someone at school, because he was so worried about her crushes. The day before, his dad said on the Saturday, he was so anxious, he was panicking, looking around for anxiety meds, because, well, he didn't actually know why, but if you piece it all together, he was talking about, Maddie and I speaking about her crushes in a choir.
And that would be problematic for a groomer, because that would be interference.
Yes.
So see, a groomer doesn't want any interference, which is why he pacifies the mom, but he doesn't want anything to interfere with what his ultimate goal is. And that is to keep control, to keep access, to keep gaining, to keep the gratification, sexual and everything else, with this young child.
Yes.
Everything about this case just really pisses me off.
Yeah. Don't worry, all of us. You're in good company here with the Grizzlies. We're all roaring over here. Let's play some more clips, because I want to get to the Woody Allen one as well.
Yes, that's the clip.
All right. When's the last time you got in any kind of trouble at home?
I'm going to say a few weeks ago.
What was that for?
I don't think... if she gets a yelling, or if she gets in trouble for anything, it's for her disorganization and messiness. How she leaves laundry on the floor, her room's a mess.
The whole house
she keeps her space very disorganized.
Yes.
So I kind of get on top of her. Do I remember the actual argument? No. When I went through her text messages back on February 2nd or 3rd, she had expressed to a friend that, I was crazy. I was acting, being nuts.
Almost old stuff to say.
Yeah, apparently I don't remember this in this conversation. I remember saying this once, but not in February. But she had said, if she continues to behave this way or not listen, when she turns 18, I'm not going to want to live with her.
Okay.
Or, also, I would ship her off to her dad's.
Oh.
But I never...
Where does her dad live?
Houston, Texas.
Okay, so now she's also threatening to disown her own daughter. Can you imagine how Maddie felt?
So I am beginning to think, and I thought this before, that Jenn was jealous.
Yeah. Could be.
She was jealous of her daughter. She was jealous of the attention that her daughter was getting. She was jealous of the relationship that Stephan and Maddie seemingly have, because they couldn't have a freaking relationship, okay?
Yeah.
Not in real life, okay? This was all in her bipolar mind, that all of this was okay. And to keep Stephan close, she allowed him these things and
Yes.
access to her daughter. And she is a side groomer for a predator.
Side groomer, yeah.
We can't use that. I'm sorry. A side groomer for the person, for the actual person who is inflicting the sexual gratification, and that would have been Stephan.
Yeah, like an enabler, right, of the groomer.
Yes,
oh my
she's
goodness.
an enabler of the. That's a better word, an enabler of the groomer, because okay, I'm not satisfying him. He wants something different. My daughter's here, which is why she makes such offhanded comments about her own daughter, which are not, that is not parental. That's just not normal.
Yes. She hardly had anything nice to say about her when she was missing, and even after she found out that she was dead, only that she sang beautifully. That's the only thing I heard. Everything else was, oh, she wouldn't know how to find her way home, doesn't know where her friends live, like basically that she doesn't know anything. She's clueless, can't even dress herself, basically, like, needs Stephan around. It's just so sad, like how she actually degraded her beyond her death as well.
And who are the people around these people? Like the two other people that stayed there, who are these people? Who like, how do we become a society of enablers by ignoring so many of the things that we ignore about those that are around us, that like we can really see? This is something very obvious. He was not a good person. He was not a financially stable person. He was, the two people, the roommates, they knew that he was in the room, sleeping in the same room with this girl. Like, how is it that nobody else called Child Protective Services, called the father, called like, how do these things keep happening? I'm not saying that everyone is guilty. I think sometimes we ignore too much of the things that we even see, think, and hear about. We should be all more vigilant.
Well, yeah, that's why we like to talk about it, right? That's my mission, is always to try to raise awareness, just so that if you see something, say something. Because one of the roommates said to Jenn, are you okay with your daughter being alone in a room with them? And Jen's answer to her text was, thank you. Like, and that was the end. Why would it not be like, okay, so the mom is okay with it. Now what? Like, it is helpful to educate people. We're not trying to blame the roommates now. It's just helpful to educate people that, if you have a gut feel something's not right, it probably isn't.
Yeah, and we can't blame other people. Yeah, and I don't want to say that, but we do have to ask more questions. Okay, we really do. Like, well, I don't know. Okay, and look, I might say, okay, ask somebody else. Does this sound right to you? Because it didn't sound right to me. Does this look right to you? Because sometimes we can be in our own world, and then somebody else might be thinking, that's what's going on. You might need to ask somebody else to ask somebody else to ask somebody else to see if it sounds, because you don't want to get things, out of whack. But I just think nobody was there for Maddie.
Right. She was almost invisible, but in plain sight.
Yeah, invisible in plain sight. Exactly.
Even the teachers, I don't know if you've heard those interviews, the teachers are saying, she was tired a lot and, struggled at times with the schoolwork, and like she had her inhaler as well, and sometimes had panic attacks. And I'm like, okay. And there was never anything beyond that. Like, oh, Stephan is weird because he makes me feel uncomfortable, is what she told the counselor. And that's where the questions end. Like, oh, okay. Like, why? Because he hangs around and eats all our food? All right. Like, no, why? What else does he do? Does he do anything inappropriate with you? Does he, how else does it make you feel uncomfortable? Those are valuable questions to continue to ask, right?
And then you have to think about, if Maddie was at that school and that's what the counselors are doing, how many other children at that school are being ignored and are invisible in plain sight?
Yes. Yeah. Okay, let's continue playing the clips.
We
here.
have officially taken over the case, okay? So
Are you guys with Kissimmee?
no, we're with Orange County.
Oh.
It's just a different unit.
Oh, okay. What unit are you with?
We're with sex crimes.
Look at the house.
Okay.
It's just because of her age and is why we take over. Does that make I know it's kind of confusing, but like we have like different rules in Orange County, and depending on like people's age, we sometimes take over investigation when it comes to missing persons.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then once you get here, you said you sent her to bed at 11. And the following morning, well, I'm sorry, let me backtrack a little bit. You send them upstairs, right?
Mhm.
How many bedrooms are upstairs?
3.
Okay. Where?
In bedroom number 4.
Okay. And what about Stephan?
Bedroom number 4.
Okay. Is it normal for both of them to sleep in the same room?
Sometimes when I really need a good night's sleep, I will send them upstairs. But when also a lot of times we will sleep together in the king size bed, all 3 of us. Or sometimes Stephan will go upstairs and our bed alone. It wasn't until
Oh, okay, pause there. So even there, when they say no, the sex crimes unit is now and Jenn goes, okay, that's it. No reaction. Violent crimes and sex crimes unit, and she's like, oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, I noticed that she didn't ask any questions.
Nope.
Not any thorough questions. One of the things that I upset law enforcement about me was that I asked a lot of questions. Okay. Because they initially told me I brought my daughter home from school and we were waiting for law enforcement. I brought her in the house, sent her immediately upstairs to her room as he was downstairs. Now he was like 6'3", almost 6'4", and a very big man. And I'm really tall for my size. I'm like 5 feet, but he knew, because I was really calm, that I was dangerous, because I was so calm. Like I wasn't freaking out, and I was asking him lots of questions as I was folding up the clothes, and also that I never liked folding up clothes. That was like a big thing there. But I was very calm. But when the police came, it was 2 police officers and 2 social workers, and it took them forever to get there. I mean, God forbid, I could have killed him. He could have ran off or did, in the hours that it took for them to arrive. But when they came, they had their little card and they started reading, they asked who he was and everything. And then they started reading off the little card that, he needed to leave the home, and they started saying other things. And I was like, wait a minute. Immediately, I was like, wait a minute. I need you to explain the process to me. And because I said that, they were like, what? I said, he's not going anywhere until you explain the process to me.
Mm-hmm.
And they thought that I was trying to protect him. I was very clear in my head that you're telling him he can go, and he just leave the house, and then you'll conduct your investigation. And that did not make sense to me, because if he just leaves and goes, how are we going to know where he is going? And I said, no, I'm gonna need somebody to explain, like, stay here. I need you to explain what is going to happen, what we're going to do, how this is going to work. And they were like, well, if you're saying that he can't leave, then we're going to have to call the supervisor. I said, call everybody. Yes. Literally, I said, call everyone. Call whoever you need to call, because ain't nobody going anywhere until someone explains the process to me. And then I had already written down, by the time they came, all of the information that they needed on our family. I wrote down all of the kids' names, date of birth, social security number, his, mine, driver's license, all of those things, license plates for the cars, medical information, doctors, teachers, schools, all of that. And I said, here you go. And they were like, what is this? I said, oh, this is all the information that you're going to need, because I don't feel like repeating myself 100 times. And they were like, what? Who the heck does that? because I'm very analytical and I need to process. This woman is saying sex crimes and she doesn't think, well, wait a minute. This is a missing persons. There's a missing persons unit. There is a sex crimes unit. So why? Okay, so like they're working together. So now it's transferred over. Explain the process. She's not doing any of that.
She's just like, okay.
Yeah,
Wayne says she gave a huge sigh when they said where they were from, as if something really clicked.
Yeah, I think what clicked. You'll show what clicked. You'll show in one of your clips clicked.
Let's play it.
June of last year that we had broken up, and I said, okay, I don't want to sleep in the same bed with you. Please move upstairs. And he moved upstairs. At this point, Maddie pretty much slept with me all the time. I think I can count maybe on one hand how many times she's gone upstairs to sleep with him alone, because I wasn't comfortable with it. I was like, no, it doesn't look right. Like, it just doesn't seem right. Like, I'm not comfortable with it. Maddie, you got to sleep with me. And I've told him that. But there were times that they begged for sleepovers. Like, please, we just want to stay up late watching movies. And I would be too tired to stay up late. So I would say, fine, go ahead and do it. But just this once, like.
When did you start becoming?
We're going to go to more of that in a moment. But see, there's that, when you said earlier, that damn TV, and you're saying, I can count on one hand. How about no hands? Don't count it. No hands must be counted, you know?
Yeah. There's something wrong. She said they begged.
Yes.
Maddie begged for. Maddie may have wanted to watch a television show. That is not what he wanted.
Yeah.
That's not what he wanted.
She's like, they were, please, okay, just this once. But it was never once. It was many years of abuse, at least from when she's 8 years old until she's 13. Many photos and videos.
The photos, the videos were, that shows intent. That shows criminality. That shows grooming. That shows all the destruction of the phone. So all of those things, that's process. He literally had a process. And now what we haven't heard if all of those photos were only of her.
I think it was on his phone, it was only of her, but there was a hard drive found in his father's storeroom. But much later, the father said, oh, he must have been here because I found this hard drive. And there was something like 35,000 pictures, but of other kids. A whole collection on a computer hard drive in there. 35,000 pictures. So, yeah, I think he'd been doing that for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and West says at least 1,700 pics of Madeline. That's why he's got over 60 charges of CSAM, each one counting for at least 10 photos and videos. But then there's the other 35,000 on a hard drive.
Yeah, and that takes a long time. I have handled a case involving sex crimes and a Catholic priest. It's very disturbing. It's a lot to get into when you have to, somebody actually has to look at all of those images. So, I do want to say that pray for or keep the law enforcement professionals who are going through these type of cases, keep them in your thoughts and prayers, because people don't understand how taxing this work can be and what that imposes on them. And even for the experts like myself who get these cases, it doesn't matter whether we're on the prosecution or the defense side, because everybody deserves a zealous defense. But the work itself is very hard, particularly in these type of cases. It is very hard to do. Very, very hard to do.
I can only imagine. My goodness. So yeah, shout out to all the detectives working this case, working very hard and going through all that digital data. That's horrifying.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's play the rest of this.
was ever comfortable with it.
But you told them to go Sunday night to go sleep together.
I did. That was a selfish move on my part. It's because I wanted a good night's sleep. I didn't want her kicking me or rolling into me or waking me up, or to hear her alarm so that it woke me up. I wanted to keep sleeping until I needed to sleep, because I just had not, with my training schedule, I have not had a good night's sleep. My medication was out of whack.
He's never said anything to you or anything about it.
If anything, I've always told him that my biggest fear is that this would turn into a Woody Allen situation where the stepdaughter or the dad grooms the child and the child turns 18 and ends up running away with him. I told him, like, that was my biggest fear and I don't ever want that happening. Like, you can't do that to me. Like,
why would you say that to him?
Because I never trusted. I grew up being told never trust a man. My mom put that in my body. Never trust a man. That's Maddie asleep in the car.
Okay, we'll get to that. But my jaw was on the floor when I heard that.
That's the part. She had preconceived notions and a conversation with him about Woody Allen and not to do that to her. That is very telling that she even thought. And she says, my mom said not to trust men. If that's what you see, how counterintuitive that those two things are. Your mom says this, and that's what you believe. You think about Woody Allen with this individual, and yet you do the opposite. You trust him with your daughter. This is not an infant. You know, infant's different. You're in the bed. You know, you might put an infant in the bed. My kids did sometimes, but they also had their own rooms. But not with somebody that was not their father. You know, well, Charles wasn't her biological father. But you all get what I'm saying. It is, she knew that for me, that one statement alone says she knew. She was jealous. She saw some grooming. If she didn't know for a fact, she suspected. She suspected. And she was thinking that the older Maddie got, the more he would want her. And do you think she had something to do with it?
I wonder, because she also told Maddie, she threatened that when you turn 18, she's basically going to disown her. So isn't it interesting if you pair that with what she just said? I'm sure everybody knows about the Woody Allen situation, right? That he married his... So Mia Farrow and Andre Previn adopted children. And then Mia had a relationship with Woody Allen. Then Woody Allen developed a relationship with that adopted child and then married the child. Like, oh my goodness. So that's what Jenn is referring to. And she's I was always telling them it's my worst fear, is that what she's basically saying is that Stephan and Maddie are going to end up together and they'll get married. What?
And somebody said in the comments that Woody Allen messed with Dylan too. So, you know, sometimes predators have a predilection for a particular gender, or they focus more on the age of the child regardless of gender.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Yeah. She was afraid of losing Stephan, not Maggie. And she, thank you, Gemma, she was also afraid of losing Stephan to Maddie. What the?
It's so she really, Pernille said she told on herself for that comment, Jenn. She totally, we've heard so many bizarre comments. That one is the worst. That is the one that's so telling, like, oh, I was always fearing it's a Woody Allen situation. So
Save Our Water says, and when she says the sex is not evil, what was that about?
Yeah, there was exactly. In that document, she said, well, the sex stuff is not evil, but murder is evil. What?
Like what? Like, what is happening here? What is happening here?
Foxy says, notice how she started with the child falls.
You know, your Grizzlies, they are so on. I mean, I'm telling you, they know all of the stuff. Okay, they know all of the stuff. Everybody, I'm just like, what is happening? What is happening? She she is guilty of something. She is guilty. I don't know.
Yeah, she's guilty of something. Because I mean, how can you say that? And also, they didn't feed her that information. Like introduce it. She introduced it. Like, yeah, okay. My worst fear was. So let's quickly listen to that one again. Hold on 1 second, everybody. Just go a few seconds back here.
Sleeping until I needed to sleep because I just.
Even there, I wanted to say when she says, I was just sleeping until I needed to sleep. No, you didn't. You had a doctor's appointment at 9:30 and your alarm was set for 9 o'clock. That doesn't make any sense. Like, no, they had to go because I just want to sleep till whenever I wanted to sleep. Why? She'd normally leave for school at 10 to 9. You were going to get up at 9 for a doctor's appointment at 9:30, and then you had 2 days off. Doesn't make sense. Anyway, sorry, let me play it again.
Had not, with my training schedule, I have not had a good night's sleep. My medication was out of whack.
He's never said anything to you or anything about it.
If anything, I've always told him that my biggest fear is that this would turn into a Woody Allen situation where the stepdaughter or the dad grooms the child and the child then turns 18 and ends up running away with him. I told him like that was my biggest fear and I don't ever want that happening. Like, you can't do that to me. Like,
why would you say that to him?
Because I never trusted. I grew up being told never trust a man. My mom put that in my body. Never trust a man. That's Maddie asleep in the car.
Okay, we're going to hear that again now, but we just had to hear that one more time. What?
I've always told him, why did she have to keep telling him this particular thing? That was my biggest fear. Not that Maddie would be the victim of any crime, but that she would not be with Stephan, that Maddie would be with Stephan.
Yeah, like they're going to run away together.
Yeah, those things are very damning in and of themselves. And if nothing else, she is guilty, in my professional opinion, of neglect, child abuse, and all sorts of things. And for, just this is more than poor parenting skills. We have all, as parents, so you don't get it all the way right. I know I haven't. And I'm not even talking about what happened to my daughter, just in life in general. This is beyond poor parenting skills. This is beyond being bipolar. This is beyond her being depressed and lack of sleep. This is just a complete alienation of love, time, attention, understanding, and focus on her daughter, and more focus on herself. Everything you notice comes back to her. Like, the attention should really be on her. And I think that she was so jealous of Maddie that I would not be surprised if she didn't know that Maddie was dead when initially.
Yeah. Some have speculated they wouldn't be surprised if she killed Maddie out of jealousy, but they've obviously arrested Sterns and charged him with it. So maybe the evidence seems to lead that way. It's just initially, before we knew that, we were like, whoa, is the mother going to be arrested for that?
Yeah.
Goodness. So now listen how she reacts when they show her pictures of Maddie in Stephan Sterns' car, which is also, I'm so shocked that he did that. He put Maddie's body in the car, okay, and strapped her into the seat, and she was deceased, and drove around with her for 2 hours, and then put her in the trunk, came back to the house, hung out for a few more hours, and then went out. Isn't that so crazy? Like, she was in the vehicle for about 5 hours before he went to the deposition site. But let's hear how Jenn reacts to the police now showing her the photos of her daughter, her only child, deceased in that vehicle.
Maddie's not asleep in the car.
What do you mean?
Do you believe Maddie's asleep there?
Is she dead?
I don't know. We don't know where she's at.
All right, this is an investigative.
Oh, that's just the last clip there. But it's just like, oh, is she dead? And then she continues after that to just talk about like Maddie's grades and like school. She's not like, I mean, she does a little cry in between. Okay, we'll break that all down eventually, guys. But like, we just wanted to react to this now. She like has some emotion, but she can switch that on and off so quick as well. And just to be like, oh, is she dead? Can you believe how she reacted to that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, her tone. And when I took the witness stand in my daughter's case, unfortunately, I did something that I can't say I regret it. there's no book on this. I could write a book and it would still be somebody else's story when they do it. But I have my daughter testify. It was a move that I felt needed to happen, and it was painful for me to do. My daughter was only 8 when she took the witness stand. I couldn't be in the courtroom with her because I had to take the witness stand. But I did have the prosecutor's office. They had everyone in there, the prosecutor herself, and the men in the office, the women, they came over because she was one of the youngest people to ever testify. But they said my father was there, my father's girlfriend, and my sister, and Charles's best friend. So we asked for, they can't close the courtrooms oftentimes, but we had some civility in ensuring that there was a closed courtroom. My daughter did better than I did on the witness stand. They said, she answered the questions and how you answer the questions as a little 8-year-old, I don't know about the things that they asked. But Jennifer is very good. She's been covering this unit now for decades. But I did not do well on the witness stand. I was not a good witness at all because I was so irate. And, they had to keep saying, now, you can't say that. You can't yell. And as I watch some of these folks on the witness stand, as somebody who's been the witness, as somebody who is very personally attached to this, the sheer rage that I had, and that's why I was not a good witness, and the judge really had to admonish me, but I was out of control because I was reliving things, and it's hard to testify in court. I know we see it all the time. People think they know how easy it is. It's not easy to testify in court. I don't care what you're testifying on, but when something is so personal. So when I hear and see Jenn without being in the courtroom, I had the same kind of rage when I wasn't in the courtroom. So they already knew that I was not going to do well on the witness stand. They were already prepping me and trying to contain all of the visceral that I had. And when I hear her, she's like, oh, was she dead? And that's not her daughter. Like, her daughter is dead. My daughter is alive. Her daughter is dead. Can you? Her daughter is deceased. She was murdered by the man that she loved, supposedly, who supposedly was her boyfriend, not boyfriend, that she allowed to see. And this is how she's acting.
Yeah. Some people are saying in the chat it could have been shock or something, sure, but it's like, if you put it all together, you look at the whole picture of Jenn Soto, it's really disturbing how completely detached she really is to her only child, her daughter.
20 plus years later, I still have shock. Even though I don't carry the full weight of the guilt, I'm still in shock that people have the audacity to do this. Predators and groomers have the audacity to do the things that they do.
Yeah.
And people let them get away. She is very disconnected. And that is painful that people can be so disconnected. And she was taught never to trust a man. And yet with the one precious thing that she had in her entire life, she trusted that a man with that. I think if she does not go to jail, if I see her in another relationship, I don't know. She is not a healthy person. She is not a well person, but she knows what she's doing. She knew she needed to take her medicine and go to take a nap.
Right.
She knew she was sending her daughter up to a room with a man that she had said, I've always told him that my biggest fear was about the Woody Allen and she said, and don't you ever do that
to me. She said, don't do that to me. Yeah.
To me. You better not ever think about that or anything, do that ever. don't do that to me. That's very personal.
It is. And you actually make a very good point of Jenn she's directing all of this. You two go upstairs, almost like Stephan Sterns is like a little kid as well. And he's behaving like one. You two upstairs now, it's bedtime. And she even texted Stephan saying, make sure she goes to sleep right now. And he's like, okay, sweetie, good night, So there's all of that, but she's directing all of this. It's not like she came home and she's knocked herself out and she's just not okay and she can't organize anything. She's saying, Maddie picked her clothes out, then I sent him upstairs. We talked a little bit, sent him upstairs. She's actually organizing all of that. So it shows she's like quite proactive in this.
She is,
man.
what did you call her? The enabler.
Yeah.
She's an enabler. Yeah, she was
It's a good question. Are pedophiles typically abusers children? That's all I can think of as to why they would want to do that to children.
Some of them are. Some of them are abused as children. There is in some of the work that I've done in behavioral health with working in actual facility. You're in Tennessee. I've actually worked in facilities in Tennessee, right? Mm-hmm. So they are often victims themselves of some type of abuse, which is why in behavioral health facilities, when you're working with teens and youth who are perps, who are victim perps, so that you can be a victim or you can be a victim perpetrator who has been the victim and now you are the perpetrator. And you are, so somebody might do something to you and then you might do that to someone else. So there are those things, which is why if they ever get to an institution where this is acknowledged, that they need to work through those behaviors so they don't become the adult predators that we see and groomers later on in life. Because you can break the cycle when you realize that this is not normal behavior and that it is not normalized in society and that it is not unhealthy, it is not well, and it is criminal in and of itself, regardless of whether you're a child or not, or whether of your age, I should say, not necessarily a child, but regardless of your age, that this behavior is a criminal act, can be prosecuted, and is very dangerous and damaging to others. So when you teach people young that it is not normal, then they can learn from that. Not all of them learn, but then when you have somebody who is charged and then they say, well, this happened to me when I was young, then they kind of use that as a crutch. And this is me with a defense hat on saying, well, this happened to them and this is why. And they never got the treatment that they sought. But don't forget what I just said also. This is still criminal behavior.
Yes, exactly. Edward said the Woody Allen comment was shocking and disgusting. She's 100% guilty of knowing what was going on.
Edward, spot on.
In our opinion.
Yes, in our opinion. Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
Yeah, we
in our opinion.
Yeah, we always have to say that she allegedly, and I had not been saying that for all day, which is not professionally correct. I should say that.
Allegedly, don't worry, I'm on high alert.
Thank you. So everything that I'm alleging about her is not facts. It is not evidence, which is why we have the criminal trials to determine the actual facts and evidence. Which is why we also need really good investigators and law enforcement to have sound practices and policies and get the evidence that we need to convict individuals who are charged with these types of crimes.
Yes.
But he got all those pictures, baby. So there you go.
Yeah. No, he's facing the death penalty. So Florida doesn't play around.
No.
Yes. Lou Bear Girl says, in the court of Grizzly, she is guilty, Your Honor. This jury, yes. I think she might be. Yeah. It's just terrible to see her not protect Maddie. It's so distressing to think that Maddie she did not have a protective mother whatsoever.
Yeah. Maddie lost her life so young and so tragically. And then he drove around with her for hours in a car. You know, it's such a heinous crime. The grooming, what he did, the acts themselves, and then how he disposed of her. And dispose is a very harsh and painful word, but that's exactly what he did. It was, he mistreated her in life and mistreated her in death. And her mother ignored her life and ignored her death. And I think that it is it's painful to think about our children and the things that they suffer. For all of the single women and mothers and fathers out there, we cannot live, and I'm saying I don't have young children anymore, but I do have grandchildren. We cannot live our lives under the premise that everyone we meet is a predator, a groomer, that we should not have relationships, that we should not be the benefactors of intimacy, love, and joy based on what we hear, based on what we know, based on our experiences, because we're not happy that way. You understand what I'm saying? Give yourself some grace to love again, to lean into your humanity. Use your instincts wisely now that you know the things that you know, and don't be afraid to ever walk away from anyone or anything. Don't put other children or other people in harm's way, because this could happen to an adult child too. This could happen to someone who is older, who is still vulnerable. I mean, because vulnerability is available to all of us, but we all deserve intimacy, love, companionship, partnerships, relationships, marriages that work. Everyone is not like this, and we can't look through the lens of law and justice as only one thing, as evil all of the time, and everyone is. We have to rely on what we now know, what we experience, and the things to say, if it doesn't feel right, then something is wrong. If it doesn't look right, something is wrong. But don't give up on love. Hope for the best. Work towards what's really possible in relationships. Because I don't look at everybody, every man and say, you could do this to me or my children. I'm single because you got to level up when you come to me now. And that has nothing to do with my daughter's situation, but everything about who I am and where I am in my life. So the older we get, I encourage my children. They're all except the youngest one, who is problematic all the time anyway. But they're all in healthy relationships. My daughter is in a healthy relationship. She was married. She got married. She got divorced. She's in a healthy relationship now. She has a daughter of her own. Her partner has a daughter. So we just have to we can't always be the victims of everything all the time.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. We got to love ourselves and love others. We just got to be cautious.
Yeah, we're survivors.
Yeah, we didn't survive.
A survivor mode is like strong, and then you can help protect others instead of being like in victim mode and feeling maybe triggered all the time everywhere. Like you can actually survive and then help fight for others too.
Exactly, which is why thank you again for having me on to talk about this. Because you see, I'm in survivor mode, and I'm still scrappy. If y'all don't know, I got my jacket on, but I'll take it off and put some Vaseline on or whatever we call
it. Edward says, thanks to both of you. Do you think the state may be working with her to potentially use her as a witness against Stephan Sterns so he gets maximum punishment?
Yes. And I know a lot of people don't, this is my defense hat. A lot of people don't like when individuals like this are given immunity or if they are not charged. But this is a long game. And we always have to play the long game in our criminal justice systems to get the biggest push for the justice that we need. And if that means working with someone who may have some culpability and giving them the deal, then we need to do that because it works out in the very best interest in the long term of society. We have to think about what is best in the long term and not our emotional triggers for short-term gratification and gain just to see something happen. So, we have to do what's best.
True. There's only one short little clip left. It's about the derivative immunity. Let me just quickly play that.
Okay.
So you've been compelled to be here. And in our country, under the 5th Amendment and the 14th Amendment as applied to you under the Florida Constitution as well, you cannot be forced to incriminate yourself. So anything you say today can't and won't be used against you unless you just don't tell us the truth. And I've already explained to your attorney, Mr. Bark, whether or not you've made any inconsistent statements in the past, that is dirt under the bridge, and either a misdemeanor was committed or it wasn't, but we're not going to be using that as a basis of some sort of perjury by false statements, because those other charges wouldn't be perjury anyways. So the most important thing today is to tell the truth. I also explained derivative use immunity, which means if you said that there was a gun, and obviously there's no gun in this case, buried in your attorney's yard, we couldn't go dig up that gun if you told us that, oh yeah, there's the gun that was used is right there. We wouldn't be able to do that. We would have to show that we learned all those things independently from this interview. Okay? Do you have any questions? All right, so let's get started.
Okay, and that's all the clip. So it was, as I understand it, am I correct, that was for that interview, right? So it doesn't mean she's got immunity forever for everything, right?
Correct. That would be correct. She does not have a blanket immunity for all of the information that she is providing and anything like that. And don't forget, prosecutor can always pull back an immunity agreement if you're not truthful once you are in the agreement, okay? You have to be honest. You have to be truthful with the agreement that you abide by. And then they have to honor the things that they honor unless they find out something different that you were not truthful about. So,
yeah.
I hope that she has an attorney.
She does, yeah.
And which is needed and necessary. I know sometimes people don't think, don't get, if you get an attorney, you're guilty. If you get an attorney, you're smart, because you should not be talking without an attorney ever. Okay. You really shouldn't. So I think justice will be served in this case. Will it be the justice that we all desire? Maybe, maybe not. But I do think that Maddie suffered in ways that we can't imagine. And we all cry for her. We think of her. We didn't know her. I didn't know her personally, but we feel like we know her personally. And she is our child. So we will carry Maddie in our hearts, even if her mother is less attached to it. And whatever her mother's situation is, whatever Jenn's situation is, if she's not guilty, then we need to, we want her to get the help that she needs to.
Yes,
and even if she is guilty, we still need her to get the help that she needs to get, because she is dangerous, not only to herself, but to others if she doesn't. My big brother Peter said, have personal situational awareness at all times. And yet now my Bell's palsy wants to act crazy, so I can't get it out. But it is really important. Personal situational awareness is real. She said something, and we all keep repeating it.
Yeah.
I've always told him about, the whole Woody Allen thing. She was aware that was something in her consciousness, and she just did the total opposite. So we all have the ability to know that,
Yes.
I don't think they're arresting her because she has evidence against him. I don't. She has the evidence that they need. They need her cooperation. And if they don't want to give her a full-on deal, they need to have her in the state that she is right now. It can be tactical, strategic, but they need her positioned where she is right now with the thought process, because she is bipolar, with the thought process that she is helping and not being harmed.
Yes. So there's one, when we talked about why are pedophiles where they are, could they have been abused as children? Now, some people are a little bit upset because they're thinking that people who abuse could turn out to be abusers, but that's not what any of us were saying. So, for example, Joanne said that question is so offensive to us who are survivors. And Deborah Gonzalez said, I was abused as a child and I didn't grow up to be an abuser. Don't use that as an excuse, right? So just to comfort those, because it's in context, right? The question was answered in context. But to comfort, so there are so many survivors in this community of so many things. And yes, unfortunately, many have been sexually abused at whichever stage of life, you know. So what would you say to them based on the back of that conversation we had?
My intent, what I said, was not to give them an out. Trust me, I was the victim of abuse, not by my parents, but I was sexually assaulted when I was younger. It is not to give them an out at all, because, but it is the excuse that many try to use for themselves and that they try to use as a defense in their particular cases. That is such a lie, that you are, because it happened to you, now I'm going to let it happen to someone else. Okay, now I'm going to do this to someone else. That is what some people do. They say, well, it happened to me, I'm going to do it to you. So it's not an excuse, but what I would say is people can use it as an excuse in the court. They do use it that way. I don't say that because somebody did something to me that I can then do something to someone else.
Yeah.
If you are a survivor, and many of us are, not all people who are abused will do this. In which is the reason why when you are younger, if you are the victim of abuse and you don't get the mental health services and you really need to get, and what I was saying, in some of the facilities that I've worked with perpetrators who have also been identified as victims, we actually have to separate them out from others who were not victim perpetrators. Do you understand what I'm saying? We have to make it clear that this is not normal behavior. But people will try to normalize it and say, well, it happened to me. And this, you listen at some of the court cases and they say, well, I was the victim, when I was younger, knowing good and daggone well that they were still the killers of somebody, the same way in which they use domestic violence as I was the victim of domestic violence. Okay. And I have said this to judges. They may be a victim. They may have been the victim of something. They are still guilty as heck of this. And I don't know if I'm saying it right, but I'm not giving anybody a pass on this.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not. I didn't even give my own self a pass that I missed something with my daughter. I don't give my own self a pass because that's not the way real life works.
Yeah. So we're going to be careful with this word. YouTube is very sensitive to that word. When one takes one's own life, then they just age restrict the stream, shut it down, make sure no one sees it. I don't know why it is. I wish we could talk like adults sometimes, but it's
sorry.
YouTube. So no. Edward said, thank you both again. Do you know if Stephan Sterns is on that word or being watched closely? I definitely want to see him get sentenced, even if it's a plea deal. I think a plea deal is most likely. Do you think that a plea deal is likely for him based on, how much evidence they have against him?
No, I don't think a plea deal is likely for him. I don't think that. Unless they come up with something else, I don't think a plea deal is likely for him. I think they have enough with what they have just in the the commercial sexual abuse material to convict him just on that. Those are very serious charges, even outside of the murder in and of itself, even outside of the other images that they have to look at. This case alone should get him what he needs to go away.
Yeah.
And potentially have other things.
Yes.
Via death penalty case.
I agree. And then October 14th is his next court date. So we'll keep our eye on that. Of course, he won't be there. He said he won't be, he's waived his right to that with, the attorney will be there on his behalf until such time as it's a trial. So let's see what happens on October 14th. But Sunny, I hope that you'll be back with us. I don't want to make it too long for obviously all the replay watchers too. I want them to hear your wisdom. Right.
Oh, thank you for having me. And please have me back. I miss being with you all. We've gotten so busy and things are so hectic these days. And I'm so grateful to you. I'm very grateful to the Grizzly family. My apologies again for thinking the SS was me. Please forgive me, Erica, and all of the others. I love you all. But look, I can take criticism, but I will tell you, okay, look, this is this. Y'all already know from Jersey, but
Don't worry, I'm the same. They know it. This community knows that we get snarky.
I love you all, and I love what you are doing because you really take the time to unpack and evolve these cases, which is what in my segments on Court TV and others, we don't get a chance to do all this.
Yeah.
And I know you and I talked about me having my own channel. I don't even have time to do that, which is why I'm grateful that you are out here making a difference, building a bigger following, and folks are still in the mix here. I love you all too. Mwah. Now, y'all know my lip is sticking together because of freaking Bell's palsy and stuff. It's just stress on stress. I love you guys. Look at you.
They're all so sweet. Thank you, True Crime with Strategic Eyes. You said Sunny is so knowledgeable and intelligent. Thank you for platforming her lived experience. And True Crime with Strategic Eyes is a law enforcement officer working in the sex crimes unit. So coming from him, that's really great.
I love you too. Thank you to all of the, and look, Rachella and
Yes.
Peter.
And Pete, yeah.
So, they're my sister and brother. I love them dearly. I have Peter's book here, right there, Harlem Raiders on my shelf. And I carry my card that,
Me too.
a wallet. I love them so much. They are truly my family. I love all of you. Thank you. And listen, we got to ask the hard questions. You got to ask the hard questions. Even of people like me, you got to challenge some things. Well, I don't know. And even of people like me, you have to, and we don't always have to agree. But the one thing that we do have to do is that we have to take these things seriously.
Yes.
And we have to do our part, like you are doing right now. Gisela, really, you do more than just like have something like some knowledge. You are really focused on these crimes in ways that we don't get to do. And I'm grateful to you. Please have me back as soon as we can get that back together.
Yes, absolutely. Let it not. I don't know. It's been almost. I think it's been 6 months or more.
I know. It's been a long. Yeah, because I'm all, listen, sometimes I'm like, as we were on here, I was getting my lineup for tomorrow for Court TV. And I was looking, so I'm going to be on earlier, and then all that kind of things. But, my phone's been ringing and I'm thinking, I haven't had a chance. You remember we got on early just so you and I could catch up. We haven't even talked.
I know. And one day the dream is to be on with you and Julie. That would be the dream. You and Julie.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Hey, I gotta say, hey Tish, can you get us all on together? But I love
maybe
you.
One day, guys. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for the stickers and all the comments. I'm so sorry I couldn't put them all on the screen or see them all. I'm definitely gonna go through everything now afterwards as well. I really, really appreciate it. And we'll see you all again very soon. Any last words?
And make sure that you keep dropping those dollars so Gisela can be on the air. Because it is hard to do this without the financial support of all of you. This can't, we folks have to eat. Okay. Pay the bills, get the equipment done. She spends all day and all night. And I do still tell her, look, you need to go to bed. Are you serious?
You do tell me. I must say I will do it even if there was, I would do it no matter what.
I know, but
I just love what I do.
Financial support is really important because we know in this life we cannot do things without the support of others in all ways. And I just wanted to say that she didn't know that I was going to say that. So
and the Grizzlies are the best.
Yes,
thank you, everyone. Yeah,
Squinting. All right, love you guys.
Bye, everyone. See you all very soon. Make sure that you have your notifications on because tomorrow there's a Long Island serial killer press conference, and I'll see you over there.
Bye, everyone.